One of my favourite parts of running a product-based business rather than a service-based business is the opportunity that you get for what I call client stacking, i.e. working with more than one client at a time. When you've got a regular services business, you have one client, and then you have another client, and you have another client, and then there's another one, maybe this one comes back for some more after that. So there's a little bit of repeat business, but it's never really recurring and you're never quite certain. And we know that that leads to feast or famine. When you're working with this one, you've got tons of work on, you're super busy, you haven't got time for anything, certainly no time for any marketing, and then there might be a gap before you get the next one in. Your time is not your own. And you've got all these bosses called clients, which is often odd because most of us went into business for ourselves in order not to have a boss. We wanted to be the boss and be the boss of our own lives and our own businesses. But these people, the clients, we have to do what they say and they pull our little puppet strings. In a product-based business, there's lots of different ways that you can make yourself the boss and not be so dependent on any one particular client. And that means that the door is open to many more clients and none of them are the boss. Let me show you how. You might have a whole group of people that you work with together. Instead of doing the work for just one client, you introduce a group of people and run a program for them. And then you've got 8, 10, 20, 30 people all together. It might be they get together face to face, it might be all on Zoom, they might all be watching your videos on as part of a course. There's lots of ways that you could do it. But when you run a cohort-based program, you get them all together, you set the start date, and off you go. You run that cohort program over a certain period of time. So you set it when you want to, not when you want to go on holiday. That's the time that you take off. And you can have a nice rest after you've run your cohort-based program. You might set up a productised service, where instead of having all the frills and bespoke offerings of your current service business, you strip it back to a highly efficient productised service. You focus on one, maybe 2 or 3 aspects of what you do, and the way that you do the work is the same for every single client. That way you can stack 1 client, 2 clients, 3 clients, 4 clients and have them all at the same time because you're so much more efficient. This is what I accidentally did all those years ago, 24 years ago, when I first started my business coaching business. I just copied some guy from Australia who was one of the first business coaches back in the very, very early 2000s, copied his model and made sure that every client got the same setup, 2 meetings a month, phone and email support in between. Very, very simple. I didn't have to do any time logging, any hourly rates, any extra consultancy. Saved me hours and hours and hours by just getting rid of all of that. And maybe I missed out on a little bit of billing for the extra work I did for some clients, but then other clients didn't use their full hours. So it kind of evened out. And I was able to put in a number of clients, sometimes 12, 14 people who were all paying me fees every month. And it was on a recurring basis, so I knew that next month I'd have the same 12, 14 people. That's one very simple example of a productised service, but you can do it for more complex offerings as well. And the other good part of the productised service is that you can have even more clients stacked up when you really get into making your productised service efficient, writing it all down, making it so that somebody else can do all or part of the work because you've laid out the methodology and the rules of engagement for dealing with clients. This way you take yourself out of the equation and do a lot more client stacking. My screen isn't big enough to put all of the clients stacked up together for that one. And if you really want to go for it, with hundreds of clients all stacked up together, you can go for a standalone product. Could be an ebook, it could be a course, it could be any number of different resources, a widget, a template, lots and lots of ideas. You'll see in my other videos and on my adventuresinproducts.com website, lots and lots of ideas for standalone products. With these, there's no limit to how many clients you can stack up together. And because they're standalone products, the number of clients is in no way limited by your time. The only limit is that you spend your time doing the marketing to make sure that you've got all of those clients. But that's true for any business anyway. Think about what are the levers of profit that you can pull if you had a product-based business. Take some of these ideas, think about, well, how could I apply that in my business? What would it be like? See what you can come up with. Want to learn more about the art of productizing your expertise? There are new videos here every week. Here are a couple of good ones to get you going.